Greetings one and all, Musto0063 back to press on with Mega Man 4. And well, I'd really appreciate a breather after completing Ring Man, but it doesn't look like I'm going to get it, does it? Although, while attempting perfect runs, I thought Bright would give me more trouble than Pharaoh, hence why I chose Pharaoh first. Nothing whatsoever to do with the stage music, which is kick-ass, incidentally. The stage starts out in a quicksand area with some again rather stupidly named enemies, so I'm going to refer to them as the quicksand enemies. They emerge up and then move towards you. They do so at different speeds though, and you never know how fast each one will travel. It's random, but if you start out far enough away from them and get your shots in quickly, you should still have enough time to kill them before they run into you. There's also the flying enemy, named Hi Hi or Hey Hey, not sure on the pronunciation, but these fly overhead and occasionally drop pellet shots. And failure. You can make that jump without the use of utility item, and I really wanted to because there is something over there, but I'll have to come back and get it later. Just to remind you, I'm employing no utility item usage unless forced if I'm still on for an accidental perfect run. And oh goody, the bug copters, just who I wanted to see. Can be as annoying as Hitler ever, and I just hate them. And once you get past them, these little enemies are called Mummy Ra. They appear from behind a revolving, disappearing door, detach their head and aim it towards you. Reasonably easy to dodge, here at least. You don't even have to kill them to get by. If your timing is good, you can just walk past when the door's disappeared. I've reached the halfway point, and the next room is filled with bubble bat and spikes. Also, hollow platforms, which you have to ride on to make any progress. We're about to see one now. Now they fire a pellet shot at you, much like the footholes in Ice Stage do, but these are about, 95% less annoying. Be careful to jump off, though, or jump off them when they're about to disappear on you, though. You always know that's coming when they drop down a little, apart from the very last one, which will stick around a little bit longer until it reaches the wall. Ah, my kind of screen, especially on perfect runs. Now the final screen combines the hover platforms with more spikes and pits and the Mummy Ra. Ooh, I'm still on for a perfect run incidentally. I do find the mummies more tricky to deal with in this area. There's just less room, and I'm thinking in terms of solid ground here to manoeuvre in. Also, the uneven terrain doesn't help any, but it's still not all that bad. And I got through here without breaking into too much of a sweat. Perfect run opportunity boss time. Instantly quashed. Still, I wasn't expecting success this time around. Pharaoh Man has two main attacks, one being a hell of a lot easier to avoid than the other, and he always starts off the fight with the harder one. He throws a couple of Pharaoh shots at you, and they can be really tricky to avoid. I never seem to be able to predict the exact moment during the time he jumps across the room when he A, actually shoots at you, and B, what angle the shot comes at me. This makes it, for me anyway, rather tricky to dodge, and a little bit of a lottery as to whether I'll be successful. His other attack is to charge with a Pharaoh wave, and after a certain amount of time he'll release it and fire it horizontally at you. It is, believe me, the far easier attack to avoid, and you ideally want him to do it as much as possible. I got Pharaoh shot. Its uncharged form is much the same as you saw at the start of the fight, but you can actually also charge this weapon. A giant Pharaoh shot appears above Mega Man's head, and he can fire it in any direction. It's very useful. So close, but yet so far. Just the one hit. Don't let that performance fool you though. This was anything but straightforward. Thanks for tuning in for the perfect run. Perhaps you just wanted to hear the stage music again though. And frankly, I don't blame you. There were a few, have to be said, embarrassing screw-ups on this opening screen. The speed at which the quicksand enemies hurtled toward me caught me off guard a few times, as did not paying attention to the hi hi, hey hey, whatever's pellet shots. Still, it's the beginning of the stage, so however embarrassed I might have felt, it didn't cost me too much time. Yes, failure again. Hence why I really wanted to make that jump during the Let's Play version, having of course known full well that I'd missed it during my successful perfect run. It also meant I had to deal with the additional bug copter mummy screen that I would have avoided had I made the jump. But hey, it did ultimately mean that I got the perfect run, the more difficult way of clearing the stage. As for this screen, when I missed the surface jump, yeah, unsurprisingly, the bug cop was proved to be just as irritating as ever. Plenty of clumsy scrubs on the road to victory here. Now, I did not enjoy this screen. I got, quote, lucky during the Let's Play version, and lucky here, and it boils down to how quickly that bubble bat awakens. I need it to wake up early, because that gives me time to jump up and kill it, land back on the hover platform I'm on, before it either disappears, or the next hover platform fires its pellet shots. If that bat decides to have a lie-in, then believe me, it is an enormous pain getting by unscathed. Frequently, it even decides to wake up as I'm jumping from one hover platform to the other, and of course I then jump right into it. As I said during Drill's perfect run, having to rely on particular bats having not forgotten to set their alarm clocks can get irritating. Now, there were some outtakes on the final screen too. I just find the mummies far more threatening here, especially the first one, as owing to the low clearance, timing a jump over its detached head is more intricate. Maybe if you can, sliding is a better bet there, but I'm always nervous I won't be able to cancel out the slide and just career straight into the mummy. Regardless, the stage is not without its trouble spots, but still easier than rings to get through, no damage. Same can't be said for the Robot Master, unfortunately. Plenty of runs ended by the Pharaoh himself, and all of them to his Pharaoh shot attack. As said, it's the more unpredictable of the two, and you also have to worry about not running into Pharaoh Man while trying to dodge it. The Pharaoh wave, as he's doing here, is what you want him to do. If you get within close proximity to him and have a good sense of timing, then this is pretty easy to just jump over. The other good thing about getting up close to Pharaoh Man is that he often gets stuck in a Pharaoh wave pattern, much like what happened to me in this fight, and he just ends up repeating the same far easier attack to avoid over and over again. I wouldn't ordinarily expect him to repeat it as much as he did here, holy hell, but I can't help but feel the further away from him you are, the more likely it is he'll do the move you don't want to see. So finally, just what is over this pit? Well, instead of entering the Pharaoh's tomb, we're still up on the surface, so that means more quicksand, with the quicksand and flying enemies to deal with once again. Keep hopping when you're in the quicksand naturally, and you won't sink all the way down. Waiting for us is the second utility item, the balloon. Works rather like item 1 from Mega Man 2. The other price for taking this route is that you are immediately transported to the halfway point in the level, whereas getting the wire adapter and dive stage sends you back, the balloon in Pharaoh sends you forward. So the good thing about tackling Robot Master stages in what I perceive to be their likely difficulty order is that I usually have a run of easy ones to begin with and can somewhat settle into the game. The obvious bad thing about this approach is that I get left with a lot of painful stages, one after the other, toward the end. Yeah, I really could have used a breather after Ringman, and things aren't likely to get any easier with the last stage I've got to go at, but we'll get to that. Pharaoh Man stage took me 1 hour and 40 minutes to perfect run, longer than Ringman stage. This ultimately was owing to the fact that although the total number of outtakes was around the same, 36 compared to 33, I was getting much further on in the stage before I suffered the outtake, what with 11 of the failures coming on the Robot Master. The stage isn't really all that bad. I certainly want to make the jump over the pit on the first screen, as I get an easy next screen to get by, receive a shortcut to the halfway checkpoint of the stage, and avoid the bugcopter room. But even then, despite my bugcopter whinging, they're not as annoying as in either Dust or Drill stages. By the way, I'm not counting actually getting the balloon adapter as a bonus to making that jump, since it's useless to me in a perfect run setting. During the Let's Play, yes, but not on a perfect run. That one bubble bat I talked about in the first room with the hollow platforms is the worst part of the stage for me, without any question, as I'm not a fan of needing to somewhat luck out on the timing there in order to have a far greater chance of avoiding damage. Pharaoh Man is clearly a step up in difficulty from the other 6 Robot Masters we've seen. I mean, come on, he's the first one to even hit me during a perfect run attempt. Despite this, however, I can't say I got all that annoyed with this stage. Pharaoh Man can spend much of the fight stuck in a Pharaoh wave attack pattern, and that makes things so much easier. Ultimately, because this can and does quite frequently happen, it's difficult for me to get irritated when he decides to change things up and do the move I don't want to see, because he spends so much time actually cooperating quite beautifully. The most annoying part of this stage was that blasted bubble bat that I won't dwell on any more. I think the thought of getting to listen to the stage music one more time also contributed to not ever being too angry at suffering an outtake, as silly as that might sound when it comes to difficulty analysis. I give Pharaoh Man a 7 out of 10. Part of my thinking was in comparison to Ring, who I gave a 6 out of 10 too. but with no problems whatsoever on that Robot Master fight. But then, in looking back at my rating of Needleman as a 7 out of 10, with more than double the outtakes on the Robot Master, although admittedly his stage is very easy, there was no real way I could go any higher. Maybe in hindsight my Needle rating was a bit low, but then he didn't give me as much trouble as Wood, who I gave an 8 out of 10 to, who in turn didn't give me as many problems as Shadow, who I gave a 9 out of 10 to. So I guess all I can do is really call the saves as I see them. So 7 out of 10 for Pharaoh it is, and I won't question myself any further. That just leaves one to go, and I guess by most people's reckoning, the stage, largely thanks to the Robot Master, is going to be the biggest pain of them all. So was it a bright idea to leave this guy for last? Tune in next time to find out. Cheerio.